Here's what I love about recommending books to people our age. They nod appreciatively. They jot down the title in their phone, and then sometime later it joins the stack on the nightstand that hasn't moved since COVID. That stack has basically become furniture at this point. Dusty, very judgmental furniture. So for this episode, I did the heavy lifting for you. I read the books. I took the notes. I'm handing you the tools that matter when you're standing at the edge of your third, wondering what the hell comes next. 5 books, 5 ideas that you can use this week, or at least think about. Consider this my book report from the edge of life's next era. I'm Steve Gershik, and this is your Third.
Don't call it a comeback. I've been here for years. I'm still standing better than I ever did. It's my love. Don't need to fight to prove I'm right.
If this is your first time here, this show is for people in their 50s and 60s who built the career, raised the kids, done the things that they were supposed to do, and now are staring down the next few decades, thinking, okay, well, now what? We don't do retirement planning here. We don't tell you to golf more. We talk about identity, purpose, connection, and the strange, uncomfortable, genuinely exciting work of designing the next era of our lives with purpose. So these are the 5 books I would hand every person entering their third if I could. Not feel-good self-help books, real frameworks, real tools. So let's get into it. Book 1, Designing Your Life, by Bill Burnett and Dave Evans. So let's start where the paralysis lives in designing a life of intention. Logistics. You want something different. You might even know what you're moving away from, but you have no idea what you're moving toward. And your brain is treating this like a finals exam you're about to fail, which is making everything worse. Burnett and Evans ran the Life Design Lab at Stanford. What a fun job. Their big insight in this book is both obvious and completely counterintuitive. You can use design thinking to build your next chapter the same way you'd prototype building a product. Their key tool is the Odyssey plan. You don't pick one future, you map 3. Life 1 is your current trajectory. Just 20% better. Same job, better coffee, maybe 2 extra weeks off. Life 2, in this Odyssey plan, the pivot. If your current path disappeared tomorrow, what's the alternative you've always been curious about? Not afraid of, curious about. There's a difference. And Life 3, this is my favorite one, the wild card. If money, reputation, and what people think of you were completely off the table, this is where you finally tell the truth. But here's where the book really earns its keep for me. They don't let you stop at daydreaming. You have to prototype. You don't quit your 30-year career on a Tuesday to open a yoga studio in Costa Rica. Though my friend Nicole went down to open up a boutique hotel in Costa Rica. Now, that's not a design to be that impulsive. That's a Facebook post that you'll regret in 18 months. Instead, what you run are small experiments, informational interviews. Shadow someone for a day, because the gap between that yoga studio in your head and the actual boutique hotel in Costa Rica is where most midlife plans go to die. So the action step from this book Draft your 3 Odyssey plans. Notice which one gives you the biggest squirt of fear. That's probably the interesting one to pursue. Okay, book 2. This one was recommended by a lot of you when they heard about my third project, From Strength to Strength by Arthur C. Brooks. This is the book I wish I had read at 45 instead of at 55. Now, Brooks is a social scientist at Harvard who noticed something dark in his research. The most successful people he knew were becoming miserable in their late 40s and 50s, not because their lives were falling apart, but they could feel their edge slipping. Here's why. In the first half of life, we run on what Brooks calls fluid intelligence, raw processing power, that ability to out-innovate the 29-year-old in the room, and that ability peaks in your 30s and 40s and then declines. I know, take a breath. But there's this second curve, what he calls crystallized intelligence, pattern recognition, synthesis, the ability to see the chessboard in a way no 29-year-old ever will. And it keeps growing through your 50s and your 60s and beyond. So the misery of midlife isn't that you're declining, it's that you're trying to win at a game that's no longer yours to win. You're running the sprint when you've been training for a marathon your whole life. Brooks also introduces this great idea, the reverse bucket list, built around a formula I love. Satisfaction equals what you have divided by what you want. In your 20s and 30s, you grow satisfaction by adding to the top of that fraction more money, more status, more stuff, more everything. But in your third, that leverage flips. The real power is on the bottom. Shrink what you want. Shed the goals that belong to someone else. You're probably not going to become an astronaut. Watch your satisfaction climb without buying a single new thing. So your action step from this book, write your reverse bucket list. Not the things you want to do, the things that you're ready to stop doing, the obligations, the outdated goals, the accumulated expectations. Put them away. Okay, book 3, Life is in the Transitions by Bruce Feiler. One of the premises, we were sold a lie. The lie that life is a straight line. You grow up, you build things, you retire, and then it generally winds down into golf and grandkids, maybe a cruise with shuffleboard, a sort of a beige victory lap. Now, what I liked about this book was real-world case studies. Feiler collected hundreds of life stories across the country, and what he found is that almost nobody lives that linear life. Instead, we go through what he calls life quakes, a divorce, a diagnosis, becoming an empty nester, or what my friends Uzi and Beth call a free bird, and realizing you have no idea who you are without that role. For people in their 50s, life quakes aren't the exception, they're the schedule. After a life quake, you enter the neutral zone. The old version of you is gone. The new version hasn't arrived yet. This is what I think of as our liminal space, where we all are right now. Everyone around you is helpfully handing you timelines for when you should be over it, which is useful in the same way that asking, "Are we there yet?" is useful on a road trip, just annoying enough to make everything just a little bit worse. Here's the number that actually made me say, A life quake takes an average of 5 years to process, not 6 months, not a good cry and a new journal. 5 years. So if you've been hard on yourself because you're still in the middle of something, congratulations, you're on schedule. The real question is framing. Are you casting yourself as the victim of what happened to you, or are you the protagonist of your story? Figuring out what comes next. You get to choose. You actually get to rewrite that. So the action step from this book, if you're in the neutral zone right now, stop fighting it. Write down the story of your transition and then read it back and ask, am I the victim here or the protagonist? All right, book 4, The Power of Purpose by Richard Leider. I think it's pronounced Leider, Leider. Once you navigate the transition, now you need an engine, a reason to get out of bed that has nothing to do with a paycheck, a title, getting the kids ready for something. Leider is a legend in the coaching world. I want to be clear about what he means by calling in this book, because that word can sound pretty woo-woo. A calling is not a mystical download from the universe. It's not something that happens to you while you're meditating at a silent retreat. It's the overlap between what you're good at, what you care about, and what the world actually needs from you. That's it. He formalizes it into a formula. Purpose equals gifts plus passions plus values. Now, your gifts are what people always come to you for. What do you do easily that others find hard? Your passions are what make you lean forward instead of lean back. Your values are your non-negotiables. And here's the part I really connected with in this book. He demands brevity. He calls it the Napkin Test. You should be able to write your purpose on the back of a cocktail napkin. You remember cocktail napkins? You remember cocktails? Not a manifesto, not a mission statement that took 3 months and a life coach. One sentence. Mine? Well, I use my gift of translating big ideas into real tools, fueled by my passion for helping people stop drifting into their third, in a way that values honesty over comfort. Now, if you can't say what you're doing on the back of a napkin, maybe you're performing. You're still trying to sound impressive instead of being clear. So, what's the action step for you from this book? Take the napkin test. Fill in this sentence. I use my gift of blank, fueled by my passion for blank, in a way that values blank. Stick it on your bathroom mirror. Leave it there for a week. See what it does to your nervous system. And book 5, The Second Mountain by David Brooks. My friend Seth reminded me of this the other day. I love this book. We've built the plan, we've shifted the mindset, we've navigated the transition, we found the purpose, and Brooks talks about one more shift that tends to happen after 50, and it might be the most important one. The shift from me to we. And in this book, Brooks says, most of us spend the first half of life climbing what he calls the first mountain. Career, identity, achievement, the house, the title, all the things that society said would make us whole. This is what I think about as the second third of life, that adulting part. A lot of us reach the summit somewhere around 50, look around, realize the view is, well, it's fine. There's a flatness to it. Brooks calls it a sluggishness of the soul, which, for the record, is also a perfect description of how I feel after Thanksgiving dinner at my brother's house. From the valley, we see the second mountain. If the first mountain is about acquisition, the second is about contribution. The question shifts from what makes me happy to what is my responsibility to the people around me. And Brooks identifies 4 commitments for this climb. Vocation, or something you feel summoned to. Covenantal relationships. It's a really meaty term, I think. It's described as love built around service, not transaction, not what you do in order to receive something, but what you give just for giving. That's number 2. Number 3 is a grounding philosophy or faith, whatever that means to you. And the 4th is what resonates with me the most in Brooks's book here and in planning for my third in general. That's real community, not your followers on social media, your neighbors, the people you interact with, the people that you're going to text for coffee. And then Brooks says something I keep coming back to. Commitment is, what's the quote? Falling in love with something and then building a structure of behavior around it for the moments when love falters. Falling in love with something and then building a structure of behavior around it for the moments when love falters. That's really the third in a sentence. You don't feel inspired every day. You show up anyway. The commitment creates the love just as much as the love creates the commitment. Ooh. Anyway, I recommend you pick up this book. I have it on my bookshelf. It is not dusty. So your action step from this book, which of Brooks's 4 commitments is calling to you the most right now? Vocation, relationship, faith, or community? Start there. So here's the through line across all 5 of these books. None of them are telling you that your third is about winding down. None of them are telling you the good part is over. Everyone is pointing at the same thing. You have more runway than you think, and the work of this chapter, not passive. The Odyssey plan asks you to prototype. The intelligence curve asks you to shift. The neutral zone asks you to stop fighting. The napkin tests ask you to get clear and concise. The second mountain asks who you're responsible to. These aren't retirement questions. On the contrary, they're the most alive questions you can ask yourself. So I'll link to all 5 books in the show notes. You can download them, dog-ear them, write in the margins, unless you're reading them on your phone. That's probably a bad idea. Wrestle with the ideas. It's a good exercise for our brains. And if one of them changes something for you, email me. I'm Steve at yourthirdthird.com. I'm Steve Gershik, and this is Our Third. Make the call. Send the text. Let's make these decades intentional. Bye for now.